something we spoke about, which is really important to remember. And that is schooling is not the same as education. Maybe it should, however, at this point in time, it isn't. When we go to school, we learn information. We will learn our Chumash, our Mishnah, Tanakh, we'll learn halachas, we'll learn our Mishnah and our Gemara. In school, most probably as well, depending where we are, we'll learn mathematics, we'll learn Hebrew, English. We'll learn, again, depending on where we are, the sciences. We'll learn geography. And all of this is really important. The timetables are important, subtraction and division, and knowing where a place is in the world. When we speak about geography or when we're speaking about basic sciences, all of this is important. This is all information. And information will get us so far in life. But there's another dimension to living life in a normal, healthy way, and that's called education. And as we said, maybe it would make sense to us that schooling and education are connected. But what we find is, unfortunately, usually they are not. And there's many soft skills in life that we should be aware of. How we speak to one another, how we deal with winning or losing, how we deal with our failures in life, how we deal with pressure. And what about when we're dealing with fears, anxieties, and shame? What about encouragement? That doesn't necessarily come from our schooling. Our schooling has a set of expectations, and it expects that we'll fall into line. But then there's this whole world of education, what it means to be a normal, healthy human being, a loving human being. And that comes from somewhere else. If it doesn't come from school, it should come from the home. If it can, it should come from role models. And this distinction in what education is as well involves, as we grow up, filling out a check, knowing how to stay out of debt, knowing how to deal with conflict, knowing and having the ability to listen. So all these things that sometimes we take for granted, that's what education is. And really, at the end of the day, even though we spend 12, 13 years in school or yeshiva or seminary, wherever we are in our life, wherever we're coming from, the fact is most of our life is lived out of schooling. And the moment we live out of schooling, that's where education comes in. The interpersonal relationships, having the ability to understand finance, understand career or a job, having the ability to keep on studying. It's a crazy situation that most people stop studying after school. And the reality is, in our downtime, we want to be improving our mind, improving the way we look at this world. Education, not schooling, education is as well having mentorship, working on yourself. So this distinction of schooling, which is about information, this idea of schooling, which is potentially finishing tests and getting good marks, it's not the same as education in the way we are sharing here. There's a whole world outside of schooling that children need to learn. And the first place where they should be learning it is in the home. So I would advise for us, be conscious of understanding the soft educational skills of listening, of learning, the educational skills of finance, making sure we don't fall into debt, relationships, making sure that we can keep long-term healthy relationships, fun, so easily missed, enjoyment, pleasure. All of that we need to learn from the home. And if not, to make sure there's an environment where the soft skills of living life are conscious. So Be'ezras Hashem, something for us to think about. Take a pencil and paper and write down what are important soft skills for you. We have the Arba Yesodot, as you know, physical and financial health, relationships, filling your mind with good stuff, and mentorship. And we believe this is fundamentals that we don't necessarily learn in school. This is education, not necessarily schooling. So find your way to communicate it to yourselves, and then find ways to creatively communicate it to the kids.